Pete Calandra here. On today's video, we'll be taking a look at using Beat Detective in Pro Tools to create a tempo map for a MIDI piano performance played with no click track. Now, the reasons for doing this are many. I like to improvise with no click track and just freestyle it. And what if I want to add some more instruments to it? I'll have a nice reference that I can create a click track to play along with. Or if I want some other musicians to come and overdub something on top of this, there'll be a reference there. So it's relatively simple to do with Beat Detective, and that'll be the topic of today's video. If you like this, give a thumbs up. For more content, please subscribe, and to be notified, ring that bell. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get right into it. I've got two piano performances here that I've improvised. Each one is done with no click track, and each one will show us something a little bit different. So let's take a listen to the first one, and then we'll get into it. Okay, so it's something fairly slow, and this part here is fairly steady tempo-wise, and then over here we get a little bit of pushing and pulling with the tempo. The first thing we're going to want to do is make sure that the beginning of our performance lines up with the beginning of a measure. To do that, I've got this particular piece. The MIDI information starts on measure 1. So we're going to go into slip mode, and we're going to put our cursor, our playback head, whatever you want to call it, just a little bit before the MIDI notes start. What we're going to do is make sure that in the toolbar, this particular option is blue. So just click on that. That is Tab to Transient. And that's going to really help us out. You know, there's a couple of functions here on the toolbar that most people use just for audio, but they also work for MIDI. Another one, which will be the topic of another video, is the TCE. You can also compress and expand the time with MIDI using that. That'll be another video coming up in the near future. What we want to do is have this start at bar 1 or at any bar. So I'm going to hit the Tab key right here on my computer keyboard and see how that goes right to the beginning of that MIDI note. The next thing I'm going to do is Command and the letter E to separate that out, and then double click here and that becomes highlighted. Then shuffle mode is our friend. That can be accessed through F1 if you've got your function keys set up correctly, or just by simply clicking on it. And once you've done that and you hit the delete key, everything will slide over just like that. And now this piece starts at the beginning of measure 1. So let's get our Beat Detective, and that's under Event right here. And if you want to call that up, it's Command and 8 on the numeric keyboard. So the number 8 on the numeric keyboard, which is the one, if you've got an extended keyboard, the keypad that's all the way on the right. What we want to do here is let's just leave this right here for now. And we're going to play this 1, and I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, right? So that's 2 bars. So right here is the beginning of bar 2. So I'm going to do the same thing, Tab to Transient. And then I'm going to separate that out with Command E. Double click and highlight that, and I'm going to capture selection. And I'm going to make sure that beat right here, that our operation is set to MIDI, not audio. And we want bar beat marker generation. We're starting at measure 1. We're in the key of 4/4, and we're going to actually end at measure 2, beat 1. And then we're going to generate. We want everything to stay where it is. All right? There we go. And then now we notice that we're at 67.606 is our tempo. And we can see, And this starts right on the beginning of measure 2. And so let's count ahead. 2, 3, 4. Same thing here. Tab. Command E, separate. Capture selection. Measure 2 and ends on bar 3, beat 1. Notice it's actually a little bit longer. If you look up here, it goes to, it's an extra 22 ticks, but we'll generate that. Hit OK. And see, that's a little bit different tempo. So this is 67.606 and this is 67.2273. And then we can just go through the piece, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And then tab. Capture selection. Generate. OK. Don't worry about this being moved like this. 3, 4, and then there again. Tab, Command E, highlight that, capture selection, 4 to 5, generate, OK. And that's a little faster there, right? These two measures are a little faster. 70, 71. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tab, separate, capture selection, generate, OK. Tab. And we can fine tune this in a minute. We'll get into that. But let's just get the large scale together. So we'll hit capture selection, generate, hit OK. And then here, 3, 4, 1. A little before, hit the tab key, hit Command E to separate, captures, and then highlight this, and we'll capture the selection. Generate, hit OK. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what we're going to do right here is we're going to get a little bit more detailed. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. So that's beat 3. So tab. And then we will separate that out and we will capture the selection and see beat 3, and we will generate that tempo there. And then we will go here, tab, separate, highlight this, capture selection, and notice here it goes from 8-3 to 9-1 and generate. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then right here, tab, Command E, capture, or highlight, double click, capture selection, generate. OK. Right. Okay, so this is a little bit, let's see. 2, 3, 4. So this is a little, this is a little bit off here. So we'll tab, Command E, capture selection. So that's 10. That's right. And we will generate. That's 71. And then from here, so let's go 1, 2, 1, 2. And then right here is the next measure. Tab, Command E to separate. Double click to highlight. Capture selection. Notice, just double check that this is correct. Generate. OK. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. Okay, so this is we're going to do this in 2-beat increments as well. 1, 2, 3. So this is 3 right here. So we will tab. I'm going to double check. So I want this to actually be the beginning of the bar, the beat 3. So I just get close. It's fine. Separate that out. Highlight that. Zoom out. Capture selection. Generate. OK. And then from here, 3, 4, 1. Tab. separate, capture selection, double check. Ooh, so 1, 2, nope. So double check. This is bar 12, beat 1. Generate. See, it's always good to double check that. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? So I'm a little sped up there, I think. So we just do it in 2-bar increments. So capture selection. Good. Generate. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So this is right here is bar 1. Tab. Separate that out. Capture selection. And that should be 3, 1. So you always got to double check that. 13, 1, I mean. Generate. Hit OK. And let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So we'll say that this is bar 1, right? Is the next bar right here. If I just count that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Good. Capture that. Capture selection. Generate. OK. And we've got our tempo map. Now, what we can then do is highlight the first one, hold down the Shift key and double click on the last one, and then do Option, Shift, and the number 3 on the numeric keypad, and that will clean that all up. Now, if we go down here, then we see something that looks like not bad notation for Pro Tools anyway. And then that can be brought into Sibelius and easily cleaned up and printed out as a professional. So it's really easy to do, not a big deal. All right, great. Let's take a look at this next one here. And this has some additional issues that we'll be looking at. All right, and there's a little more there. So what we want to do again is get this to be on a downbeat somewhere. So I think the beginning of measure 16 would be really good. So I'll go to grid mode, click here, Command E, separate that out, and then go back to slip mode. And you really should have your function keys set up to go back and forth really quickly, because I can just shuffle through all these without using the mouse. So F2. Put a playback head there, hit tab, Command E, and then double click, hold the Shift key down, then back to shuffle mode and hit delete. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's the first thing a little different, is we're going to have a measure of 2, 4, and that's pretty easy to do. So let's do our first measure here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and right there. So we'll go tab, Command E, separate, double click, get our Command 8 on the numeric keypad for beat detective and capture selection. So we'll double check. Yes, it's 1 bar. We will generate. And notice the time signature is 4/4, right? Okay. 1, 2. And then here, this is already separated out. I must have done something here. Same thing, capture selection, generate. Great. Okay, and then we've got 1, 2, 1. So again, tab to transient, Command E, double click there, capture selection. And this is a measure of 2, 4. And this will end on 19. Generate. And see how it adds your time signature there? Then back to 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, right here. Tab, Command E, highlight, capture selection. We're back into 4, 4. Capture selection. So that's 19 to 20. I'm sorry. 4, 4, 19 to 20. Hit generate. OK. 3, 4, 1. Then we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then right there we've got something else happening. So tab, Command E, double click, capture selection, one measure, generate. Great. And then right here we've got 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, and 2, and boom. And then a measure of 2, 4. So we've got a couple of measures of 6, and then a measure of 2, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. Right here, tab. You know, that might you might quibble with whether that's a 6, 8 or not, but it could be 3, 8. It could just be a measure of 4, 4 with different accents, but I'm just trying to show you some different examples here. Okay, so that's one measure, and we're going to be in 6, 8 time, and measure 20 ending on, so we're going to start at measure 21 and end on measure 22. And let's see if this works. There we go. Beautiful. And then from here, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 1. Tab, separate with Command E, double click, capture selection, one measure, just double checking, generate, OK. Then 1, and 1, and 2, and boom, right? Tab. So we want a measure of 2, 4, and we're going to capture selection. Let's go back to 2, 4. Sorry about that. So we're going from 23 to 24. And then generate. OK. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's see. Tab, Command E, and let's see. We're going to do 24 to 25, right? 24 to 25, and that's a measure of 4, 4. And we will generate that. Yes. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so right here we're gonna do this. We're gonna do the first 2 beats. Tab, Command E, double click, and we're gonna go from 25 to 25.3. We're gonna capture, well, and we'll hit generate. Good. And then 1, 2, and then we'll go to beat 4, tab, separate. Whoops. Now we'll go from 25.3 to 25.4, because that's where the rallentando starts, I believe. We'll see. Yeah, you see it's almost 2 beats. It's more than 2 beats a minute slower. And then from here to here, we've got a big rallentando. Separate that out, double click, and 25.4 to downbeat 26. Generate, OK. Yeah, that's 10 beats a minute slower. 2, 3, 4, 1. So this is 1, 2, tab. So that's 26, beat 1 to 26, beat 3. Generate, OK. And then tab. separate. That's 26.3 to 27. Generate. OK. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so that's a big fermata there. Or so we'll do Command E, and this will be 27.1 to 27.3. Generate. OK. Tab. And then 27.3 to 28. Generate. OK. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. So we'll just make this a whole note here. And that's 28 to 29. And we can just clean all this up. Highlighting it all, Option, Shift, and 3. Let's take a look at our notation. Some of these things will be short because I was using the sustain pedal, right? That's why there's some of those rests there. We could also add our key there, which would be B flat major. End of session. Great. All right, now that should be a little bit easier to look at. Yeah. Now, if you want to clean some of these things up, right, what you can do is, I'm going to duplicate this playlist just for notation purpose, right? So piano 2. So what we'll do is do Option P to call up change duration. And we will go to, it usually starts off here, but we're going to do transform sustain pedal to duration and delete sustain events after transform. Click on that, and then the notation looks better. This may sound a little funky, which is why I saved the previous version and made a second playlist, but we'll see. This is what I would transfer to Sibelius or any other notation program. It sounds fine. Oh, that's not exactly right. Yeah. So it gets a little weird there at the end with some of the sustained notes. But again, that's just for notation. We can always go back to the previous version, which we've saved, which will sound good. All right, so that's a quick video on using Beat Detective to make tempo maps with MIDI performances played with no click track. I hope this has been helpful for you. Again, please like, subscribe, share, ring that bell. And if you've got any comments or questions, I'd love to hear them. Leave them down in the description box below. I've been Pete Calandra. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.